off of what you saw Mace,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like there is a clear winner?
Real quick, I know Mace usually starts. Mace, you mind if I start?
Yeah, go ahead. You
Uh,
go. I got
uh,
my popcorn.
nah, because I just want to, I want to say something to your credit.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
this is really to your
Oh, I
credit.
really need my popcorn.
Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of times I'll be like, this nigga Mason, he be bugging, yo. Like, I'll say it out loud because your opinion is your opinion. Mace always says, yo, don't bring this nigga out with you because they're not going to win if you bring this nigga out with you. Talking about football games, basketball games. And I be sitting here like, I don't really know, but then I got it when the fight went on. When you got that type of energy and you breathing that energy when everybody's sad and mad and depressed.
Make people laugh, turn into memes, but the truth? That hits heavy. And that's why this isn't just old friends arguing, it's deeper. Cam said it straight. Jim was a fan first. He heard the freestyles, got involved, and Cam claims Mase literally taught him how to rap. That's strong. Once that hit online, the whole narrative shifted. It wasn't just about Dipset anymore. It was about origins and who built the foundation. Mase confirmed it. He showed Jim's structure, delivery, and how to land bars. Cam says he always put Jim on albums, gave him opportunities, included him. Jim didn't just appear, he was brought in. That's the context. Jim responded, admitting he learned things, but drawing the line. Teaching someone doesn't own their success. Growth is personal. He claims his grind, his work, his frontline efforts built his rise. Here's the deeper layer. Power shifted over time. Cam was the star, Jim the protector. But as Jim's voice grew, hits like Ballin' flipped the dynamic. Suddenly, Jim was front and center. That shift sparks tension. Pride and ego get tested. Cam sees it as a leader versus underboss scenario. Jim sees it as earned respect. They clash on the word partner. Jim says he built diplomats with Cam, brick by brick. Cam says he brought Jim in, showed him the lane. It's perspective versus perspective. Add Harlem roots, jokes about appearances, and podcast culture, and this all blows up online. Every sentence becomes a clip, a headline. Fans pick sides, Cam's truth or Jim's earned place. At the core, this isn't about disrespect, it's about legacy and narrative control. Jim stays calm, disciplined, focused on bigger things, money, growth, and moves. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And he drew a line. This would be the last public address, not because he lost, but because he controls his energy. Jim and Cam aren't just arguing, they're showing two sides of the same story. Jim doesn't see value in endless back and forth. Cam doesn't mind reopening old chapters. That difference says it all. Success and growth changed their dynamic. Back in the early days, they were inseparable. No tension, no public fights. They were building together. But as Jim started standing next to Cam instead of behind him, fans noticed, debates started, and ego quietly shifted. Jim sees his rise as public, earned, undeniable. Rewriting that history feels disrespectful. Cam sees the groundwork he laid as key. Minimizing that feels disrespectful. Two men, two truths, same history. Mase claims he taught Jim to rap. That may be true technically, but Jim becoming Jim required personality, hustle, timing, and hunger. That's the real issue. When someone you once guided steps into power, dynamics shift. Both sides have evidence. Old footage, interviews, freestyles, performances. Fans break down timelines, body language, confidence, presence. Jim is calm and firm. Cam is loud and direct. Mase is sharp and calculated. The streets and fans are watching, debating, dissecting Dipset's legacy in real time. Legacy isn't just who taught who, it's about how history is remembered. Jim chose silence, Cam keeps talking. People will believe what they want. Some side with Cam, some with Jim. But one thing's undeniable. Together, they created a movement bigger than one person. And the apartment in 5H? That's legendary. The place where ideas, plans, and the foundation of a legacy were built. Cam and Jim weren't just random people crossing paths. They were already tight, building something bigger than music. That matters because it proves Jim's role ran deeper than critics want to admit. He wasn't just a fan trying to find his way in. Cam's argument, he sparked the fire. His freestyles, early movement with Children of the Corn, his hunger, that's what created the space Jim stepped into. From Cam's view, he was already in motion. Jim joined the motion. Jim doesn't deny Cam's early run. He respects it, but he pushes back on being labeled as just someone who joined. He sees himself as the one who turned the spark into a movement that couldn't be ignored. Here's where it gets tricky: ownership. In groups, nobody wants to feel replaceable, especially after years of work. Jim repeatedly says he stood on the front line for Dipset, handling situations that kept the crew stable. That work isn't glamorous, but it's necessary. Cam sees leadership differently. For him, vision, creativity, and being the face of the movement equals leadership. That's his lens, and he believes he carried that responsibility from day one. The Mase factor adds another layer. Mase taught Jim to rap. Jim admitted it. But perception matters. Saying, "I taught Jim," can feel like it's minimizing Jim's journey. Jim's response? Independence. He took the tools, built his own lane, developed his tone, his flow, his identity. That growth can't be erased. Then there's the word fan. Cam called Jim a fan early. In hip-hop, that carries weight. Being inspired is normal, but being called a fan can feel low on the hierarchy. Jim built his reputation on strength and dominance, so hearing himself framed as someone who begged to be included hit differently. This isn't just old history, it's pride, legacy, and perception colliding. Cam challenged Jim's Harlem identity, and that hit hard. Harlem pride isn't just geography, it's culture, it's respect. Jim didn't lash out, he stayed calm, repeating that he knows who he is. That kind of confidence, some see maturity, others see avoidance. Then there's Ballin'. That record didn't just drop, it shifted everything. Jim went from respected to undeniable. The streets and mainstream both felt him. Insiders say that's when internal dynamics changed. Fans chanting Jim's records louder at shows. Balance shifted. And when the balance moves in a group, the ego feels it. Critics also notice Jim handles pressure differently. He makes peace when it's smarter, focuses on money and business, and avoids wasted energy. That's a grown-up mindset, but it contrasts with Cam's fire, and podcast culture amplified every word. Every clip goes viral. Every disagreement gets dissected. Jim calls it the revolution was televised. His rise happened in front of everyone. Trying to rewrite it now feels disrespectful. Footage, interviews, they're all there. Cam sees the early grind, leadership moments, and freestyles, proof he laid the foundation. It's like arguing over chapters in the same book. Cam focuses on the start, Jim on growth. Both want recognition. Then there's Mase. He taught Jim to rap. He left the spotlight for a while, then came back. His return and his confidence in saying he taught Jim complicate things. Jim acknowledges it, but reframes it. Learning from someone doesn't mean being created by them. Cam says he put Jim on albums and gave him opportunities. Jim says he provided safety and loyalty. Truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. Partnerships are rarely one-sided, but when history gets told publicly, people simplify it into heroes and side characters. Fans noticed that both Cam and Jim have always been competitive. Even at their closest, that rivalry fueled creativity. sharper records, stronger performances, but competition turns sour when communication breaks down. Cam's tone sometimes went personal, joking about Jim's appearance and dropping direct insults. That shows the emotion under the surface. Jim's refusal to escalate could be maturity, could be strategy. He drew a line, saying this would be the last time he addresses it. Whether he sticks to that line remains to be seen. Generational differences play a role too. Younger fans weren't around for Dipset's original run, so they hear these stories like fresh drama. Older fans see it as reopening old wounds. Social media doesn't let anything stay buried. Clips from years ago resurface. Context gets lost. Dipset wasn't just a group, it was a Harlem movement. Fashion, attitude, sound. Seeing that legacy debated publicly hits differently. Both Cam and Jim are strong personalities. Neither likes being overshadowed. When two strong personalities clash over history, sparks fly. There's also a financial angle. Legacy affects business. Perception affects deals. Being seen as the true architect can shift opportunities. Jim focuses on money and forward movement, avoiding nostalgia battles. Cam revisits the past, believing certain truths need repeating. That's the crossroads they're at. No fights, no drama, just words. But words carry weight, especially when history backs them. Will this lead to full separation or eventual reconciliation? Hip-hop has seen both outcomes. Meanwhile, the internet dissects every